is recording. So working through the character rigging, and here's the checklist for those of you that are going to add your work later. So it's exciting to see all of you have created a character, but not only just created it, but you've rigged that character as well. So this is some of them together and some more. And we're going to get to know these characters as we jump through them. Are you seeing my screen that I'm sharing?
Yep.
Okay, just checking. Okay, so one of the first things that we did was look at the concepts for the character rig, and this was the example from Humongous Fungus. So we're gonna look at those in the context. We'll be checking your audience, what are your unique capabilities for your character, and benchmarks as we go along. A lot of this is just some of the samples from my work. And Nick Paul, you are actually the first artist on the slide. So why don't you begin talking about your pieces. Let me hit present.
Okay.
And let me know, everybody, if that made it so you can't see the slides. Can you?
I can see them.
Okay, cool. Welcome in, Elliot. So we've just started. There's a checklist. If you haven't seen that yet, please go check it out. Anybody that just came in. And Nick Paul's going to go first. So go ahead, Nick. You can just tell me to go to the next. So these are your the assets that you created. Did you end up doing those? Was that you went with your plan?
Yep. These were pretty much. I altered one thing, like in this slide you see the punch ideation was meant to be kind of a wind up, but I wasn't able to do that, so I just did a normal kind of like pull back and forward punch attack.
Yeah, sometimes it's really important to think about the time that you have to complete projects for this kind of work. So I'm really proud of you that you were able to determine what you were able to do, and you ended up with an awesome piece. So yeah.
Thank you.
So benchmarks, as you look at your benchmarks, everybody, I'd like you to explain what you were working towards, and what were some of the specifics of just a few of these.
Yeah, so the top two were more for style references. So from Celeste, I wanted to follow their example of using more gradients and cell shading for the coloring. So not a lot of detail, but the detail that is there is done using those methods. And then Ori and the Blind Forest, which is the other one, was more for character design. So I wanted to have similar body shapes using a lot of like circular shapes and like more elongated arms and legs. And I think I captured both of those pretty well. And then the bottom ones were more ideations for my actual movements. So the little shield that the elf is using, I kind of based my vine shield off of that.
That's your vine shield. Yeah, that's cool. I don't remember seeing that, but nice.
Yeah, and then the punch attack, and then the flag of defeat at the end.
Right, so let's see how...
Oh yeah, and then some more benchmarks. So some sloth concept art that I used to base my character off of, and then the more cell shading poses.
And this was your initial ideation. So you had this character was your first design, and then you altered it. What was the thought behind altering it from the one on the left to the one on the right?
The first one just didn't really feel very thought out and complete as a character. It kind of felt like a lot of different elements kind of mashed together, and it didn't feel very cohesive to me. And the second one was more thought out. It fit more with like my idea of them being a forest guardian. So rather than just like a sloth living in the forest, they're actually like one with the forest and kind of like embody like the nature spirit I wanted to go.
They've got the moss growing on them from being so slow, and yeah. All right, and character ideation. Tell us about how you did these drawings. What did you do to kind of get in your head those kinds of movements?
So I kind of based a lot of it off of the references that I came up with, and then I kind of wanted to base it off of like elements of the sloth, and like so I made his arms like kind of long and big, so I wanted to incorporate his arms into a lot of the moves. So that's why in the vine shield, while it still like creates the vine shield in front of him, his arms are a lot a part of the movement. So like they bring him in front of him, and they for the sloth claw attack, like they wind it up and then do a big motion out in front of them. So I wanted to incorporate a lot of that for it. And then the knockout one, I just thought that was kind of fun. It reminded me of like old Tom and Jerry, Hanna-Barbera cartoons. And I just wanted to have a little bit more like comedic element to my character.
Right. Nice. All right. Okay, so this is your animation working in progress. So kind of showing us your layers. It's looking great. And your frame picker, this is our first look at the frame picker. So tell us about this arm pose, for example.
Yeah. So I just have two of my frame pickers. The first one is for the front arm during the claw attack. I used some smearing with it. So those two are two different smear frames to give it a little bit more motion and dynamic when doing the actual attack.
Mm-hmm. And then these are the mouths, right? So yeah. Okay. And we see in your timeline here columns. Why do you do columns in the animation?
Like, why do I specifically, or like in general?
In general, yeah. It's like a little quiz here, Nick.
If I remember.
Well, I'll put this out to the rest of the group then. Why are columns a good thing to do for animating?
When you say columns, what exactly do you mean?
So do you see how Nick's got all these keyframes lined up in a column, kind of like an architectural column? They're all connected together and start at the same time. So I'll tell you why. So we do it because when you start blocking, I can tell where he's like blocked that the new action is going to begin, and then all of these assets need to move along with it. So you grabbed you shift clicked through multiple things, right, Nick, and then moved it where you needed to go. And that's why we see the timeline have columns like that. It's evidence of a good animation. Good work. Yeah. Wow. Page layout. Awesome. Well, Kelly, what do you think of how the page layout turned out for Nick?
It's really nice. I just like how you did the background with like the faded stripes. It's just neat. That little extra accent is really nice and fitting to the character.
Thank you.
The striping, yeah, that's quite nice, right? So now we see really the actions laid out. That's really quite nice. We have already looked at the animation last class, but we really get a sense of what you had to do for the character design and moving the poses around. Amber, what do you think about the poses that Nick selected here?
I love all of his poses. I think they are really good at showing like what happens during each set. It just looks great.
Yeah, I think you've selected some really nice ones. So
thank you.
Beautiful. All right, and let's see if the animation test is going to work. It looks like it will. That's great. I think that you can, let's see, set it to loop by clicking. There's like a trick to that, which I forgot. Yeah, I'm double clicking on my trackpad and then you can set these things to loop. There we go. So we'll be able to watch this again and again because that's fun. So what were some of the surprises you had as you developed this animation, Nick?
Just kind of trying to get the poses to move fluidly. There was a lot of trial and error with like things flying across the screen that I didn't want to, and like things bending in weird positions. So figuring out a good balance between like classic tweening and then doing my own frame by frame animation. So that was like the main issue I came across. And then also not as big of an issue, but just the background with like trying to make it so that like you can still see the background, like it puts the character in some sort of environment, but it doesn't take away from the character too much.
Right, right. Well, I think it just turned out really beautiful. Elliot, what do you think in terms of this character? Where could this character be in terms of the game? What kind of game do you see the future for Yoro the Sloth?
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of potential to be in all types. I think he looks fun. He's got a lot of. He's definitely unique. I think I haven't really seen a character like this. So, as far as what I mean, he could be platformer. It could be. I don't know. I'm not really sure. You know, I feel like could serve as many game genres. I think.
Mm-hmm. So to everybody, what do you think if you were to gauge the popularity of animals? Where is sloth within the popularity of animals? Do you think that kids like sloths? Is it something that is a part of our culture to appreciate sloth
I
characters?
feel like a lot of teenagers really like sloths, also
Mhm.
because they can relate to them on being tired.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that it's the relatability. I think you nailed it, Kelly. That we all feel a little slow sometimes, and so we see their struggle. Nick, do you think that's a part of why you chose the sloth?
I think so, yeah. Sloths in general are just like an animal that I really love. And
Mhm.
I think that's part of why I enjoy them so much, just because they're kind of lazy and tired all the time. And I think
Yeah.
that translates to other people as well.
Awesome. So Sarah, what do you think about the way that Nick handled the environment design? Oops, I stopped going there here.
I think it works really well. He's the guardian of the forest, so it makes sense that he has a little forest going on. And the way that he's colored it really makes his character pop. He uses like a blue green for the hill there that he's standing on, and then he has that atmospheric perspective in the background. But yeah, it makes the character pop, so that we're not
Yeah.
really like we see the background, we see that it's nice, but it doesn't take away from the character at all.
Mm-hmm. Now, Nick and I worked with the color, universal color design. So I'm going to click on Dertinopia, which is the most common color blindness to an extreme. So let's check out how it turned out, Nick. Here we go.
All right.
So yeah, when we click into this, one of the things that I'm noticing is the character is coming forward and the environment is pushing back, and that really makes it successful. And it's a very subtle shift when we go back to the normal. Everything does feel kind of green, but initially you really worked on that. Can you talk about making those changes?
Yeah, so initially the sloth character was more like kind of desaturated and kind of grayish almost, just because I wanted to kind of have the colorblind effect, but it just kind of made the character not stand out a lot and feel kind of muddy. So instead of taking away saturation, I added it, but instead of doing like bluer or greener undertones, I added yellow undertones. And so when you do, like Susan's showing, when you do the colorblind effect, you can still see some of the yellow and green undertones in the character. And then for the background, it created a kind of purpley effect. So whether it's in color blindness or in the normal one, the background still doesn't take away from the character.
Right, so this really functions really well. So thanks for taking that extra step, because initially it was all together. And so now you've created something that everyone can appreciate. And that's really important. And it doesn't look like you're making something just for colorblind. It really is for everyone. So that's universal design. Congratulations, Nick.
Thank you.
Yeah, any other thoughts on Nick's piece or comments and wows about how he did? Well, congratulations, Nick. It really turned out fantastic, and we're
Thank you.
excited to get to know your character. So yeah, all right. And all your files are in the proper Google Drive section. Is that right?
Yep, they should be.
Okay, great. Well, thanks, Nick. All right,
Yes,
Sarah,
thank you.
we're on to Gord, the dwarf nomad. And here's your pose set choices. Did you end up going with these, Sarah?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yep.
And some benchmarks. Did you end up moving towards these, you think?
So I had the one on the left. I really liked the shading that they used, but I kind of liked it more for the creature design aspect of it. And then the one on the right, I grabbed for background design because I knew already that I wanted to put like the game background in there.
Yeah, and I think that you got that background really well. So here's some more benchmarks.
Yep. So the one on the right there, the knighthood, that was kind of, I wanted to use like the cell shading and the gradients from that one. So that's a better representation of the style I was going for.
Right, and so you have these subtle gradients going on in this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I used the one on the left for like props, and then
Right.
yeah, for the game itself, you know how they have different character renders for like introducing the character than they are for gameplay. Yeah, that's kind of what I imagine the style kind of being.
Right. Okay, and then here's some ideation for Gord
Yes.
when you're just getting to know your character. That's great.
Yeah, I actually had him kind of like the same proportion wise, but then you suggested making his torso larger than his like lower body. So on the right, yep, that's the.
So this is a shift in the proportions from this one, and yeah. Susie, what do you think about that shift in proportions that Sarah was able to do there?
It gives some character, I think. And I know you said the other day that round and square characters are more friendly. So I can already tell from like the shape of him that he's a friend. He's friend shaped.
Even with his axe, yes.
Yeah.
Right. And so here's the ideation. And you had those pose concepts that you thought through. So what did you have to do in your mind to kind of create these pose sets? Did you like walk through it yourself, or did you look for references?
Right. I think I mainly for like I mainly looked for references when it came to holding the axe and how people use weapons like that. But I only had one where he was actively using the axe. And then I ended up simplifying it when I did the animation.
This is a great exaggerated pose to like really pull it over. So if any one of you have actually done any axing, we won't probably pull it all the way over, but all of these exaggerations are important for animation to get an exaggerated anticipation pose and then the action pose. I know that you changed it a little bit, but these are great drawings, Sarah. Really nice. All right, so then starting to figure out some color concepts for him, which are probably from the Earth related, right?
Right. I did that initially because I started rigging, rigging and like making things into symbols as soon as I drew them in Animate. I have a lot of assets, so I wanted to make sure that I got it right.
So here's your frame picker, and this is for his mouth then, huh? Which is really his mustache, right? So you attach to the
Mhm.
mouth to the stash.
Yeah.
That's great. And it's a good way to show that not all assets have to be done individually, that they can be all connected together. You probably have different layers for these, right? In Animate, if we were to click into that symbol.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Oh, yeah. That's beautiful. So there's the finalization. I love seeing these layouts like this, and I think that these will be really helpful for your portfolios to have these sets of images so people can see that in addition to the animation sequence itself. So yeah. Hey, Kaylee, what do you think about the way that Sarah selected these poses for the still image?
Yeah, I think they turned out good.
Mhm. All right, so is this animation gonna work, Sarah? Looks like that, huh?
Yes.
Oh. So what kind of attacks do you think he's defending himself from, Sarah, if you imagine him in a greater game setup?
Yeah, I kind of imagined it would be like little goblins or something, maybe a bandit. Um, I think I initially for the game it's kind of like where you can choose you know between 2 or 3 characters and they all have the same goal. Maybe it's to like save the forest or get something like that. So something's threatening the forest, and each character has their own little motivation. Or something.
And how would he go through and save the forest? What is his what would he use his axe for to help save the forest?
So he's more of like the brute strength kind of character. He's a loner. It's kind of funny. I think it was Susie that said that he looks friendly. He's kind of like the um, character where they're not, but like they are. Like he's the secret teddy bear, right? Where he acts like he's, he doesn't. Yeah. So he comes off kind of mean and reclusive, but he really cares about the squirrels and the rabbits.
Right, okay.
He's more get rid of the threat rather than, planting the trees. So, yeah, that's
Cool. Yeah, that's Gord. Hey, Michaela, what do you think about the way that Sarah has done the rendering on Gord?
I really like it. I think it really just adds something. Like the style is just so nice. It's really great to look at, and I love the like cross between the, I don't want to say hard, but like the hard highlights and like the softer gradients. I just think it all works really well together.
Yeah, there's some good choices there, aren't there? Yeah, really nice. Okay, and Maggie, what do you think about the way that Sarah has handled the timing on the animation?
I think it looks pretty good. It's not like too fast that I can't really comprehend what's going on, and it's not too slow that I feel like it's dragging out. I think the timing on the vines is really good too.
So it's kind of like a Goldilocks of animation, not too fast, not too slow. Good, yeah. All right, well, congratulations, Sarah. It really turned out beautiful, and I think you're gonna have a great piece for your portfolio, so way to go.
I do have one question. So when we talked about the colors of the words, do you like that you suggested using the orange from his hair for my name, and then using a more subtle color for the ideation. Does that work?
Are you
there?
talking about the change of the two images back and forth, or what?
Oh, just for the animation itself, you suggested making my name that orange color, and then making the ideation more of like a green.
Yeah,
And-
I like that these are a little bit more subtle here. It really helps us to see the character. So I think that that's functioning. This could be a little bit just slightly darker to bring more attention to the word gourd. But I think you went maybe a little bit above board on making this a little bit darker, like because it's so close to this brown here.
Yeah.
So you might lighten that a little bit so it's easier to read. But that's just a really minor thing, Sarah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's check. We haven't checked this for color blindness yet. So let's do the Dertinopia check and see how this turned out. So does he stand out from the background? He does. Yeah, he looks, it really functions well.
Yeah.
You've also on this piece have done something with blurring the background. So that also helps to push characters forward. So good. Let's hit play on this. Actually, I'll have to present. Or no, maybe I don't. Loading. I don't know if it doesn't keep the Dertinopia when it goes full screen. So I want to see the little guy standing. So yeah, it's really functioning nicely. You're also working with higher contrast, like his hair is, it is some of the same colors of that background stuff, but because it's higher contrast and has a brighter color, like lighter and darker within it, it's pulling forward from the background. So it's also higher saturation. So that's why it's working nicely. So good job on that, Sarah.
Yeah.
Are you surprised? You seem like, oh no, you're gonna make it.
I just hadn't checked it for that.
Oh, okay.
I
I want all of you guys to keep that as a part of your process. Keep checking them. Yeah, fantastic job. Thank you for sharing Gourd with us. And then there's your font. Okay, so Michaela, you're up.
Yeah.
So I'm hitting present here. So you've got the rapier and the dash in. How do you pronounce your character's name?
Diakos Satari.
Diakos Satari. It's a tiefling bard. So here's your benchmarks.
Yeah, I basically used all of these for like the shading and the color choices.
Here comes Kaylin. Okay. And here's your initial pose design before you had a costume on him.
Yep.
He's kind of like a dress-a-doll here.
Yeah.
and what was your final selection to go with more design on the cape for the shirt part? Because this is what you finally went with.
Yeah. I kind of usually when I draw characters, I keep their designs very, very simple. And I wanted to kind of push the design a little more and do something a little more intricate. So that's kind of why I picked like so much detail with the sash and with the jacket and stuff.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful, really intricate. So, and then, so your tiefling bard is kind of magical. You're kind of coming from the D&D realm, right? So
yeah.
Was there a particular world that you were coming from? Do you have that kind of background on them too? Like Waterdeep or something else?
Not necessarily. I'm still really new to D&D, so I'm still kind of learning.
He would work in the Waterdeep world. We just did a campaign with that. So yeah, there's the backflip and progress of how it was going. And then this turned out beautiful. I saw this morning. I was like, wow. Really beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if I've played this yet, so we'll see if it functions here. It does. Good. So tell us about the animation sequence and some of the decisions that you made.
So I'm noticing there that I never ended up doing the assets for the hands. I just kind of forgot. I was just trying to get it done at that point.
And you're just talking about that one. Like
Yeah,
that
just
hand is the one
that.
that would need to turn to hold the
Yeah.
flute. Yeah. I think you only need the one asset to really finish this out.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do the rest of you all think to get a completed animation? First of all, does that bother you? Do you think it's necessary?
Honestly, it doesn't bother me that hand doesn't turn. The only thing, first of all, this is beautiful. I know that
Thank
you were
you.
scared that you weren't going to finish it, but the only thing that I'm seeing that I would definitely fix is one of the ideations. His sleeve goes away.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other than that, like, this is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened there. I only noticed it when I had everything done, and I was so angry at the time.
What did you mention, Sarah? I don't
Right there,
understand.
his sleeve disappears.
Oh, there's a
When he has the
sleeve.
flute up, it just
Oh,
disappears. And I don't
on
understand
the
why it
back
did that.
sleeve. Oh,
The front sleeve,
the
like
front
right
sleeve,
in here,
right
it just
there. Oh,
disappears.
oh. I wonder if that it doesn't continue along your timeline or something. We can check it. I think that's a pretty simple fix.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that you can flip that hand without even having to do a redraw. You can flip it so it's like this, and then you take it and you flip it, and then you can squash it. So it would probably be a little bit more like that. And
Okay.
so with the Q transform tool, squishing it down, I think that it might just be enough to not have to draw another asset possibly. So.
Okay.
Susie, what do you think about the way that Michaela has rendered it? You also worked on something really highly rendered.
I think it turned out great. I really like the gradients on it.
Yeah, and Amber, what do you think about the way that it's animating right now?
I think that it looks good. I also don't really mind the hands, and until you pointed it out, I didn't really notice the sleeve missing either.
That's a good point. So Michaela, when you did your presentation, the first thing that you pointed out was a flaw in the piece. So when you are, all of you, if you're working on something and you're presenting to a client, let them find the flaw, and then you'll be like, oh yeah, I'll fix that. That makes them feel really smart and something that they can like I added to the piece. But don't ever introduce it like that. Really help them to just get to know the character and how this character is going to help build their brand and their business, and be a part of the new world that they're trying to create or something like that. So always lead with your best stuff forward. And this is quite beautiful. Your rendering skills are incredibly high. So that's what you want to really bring forward to your clients and your audience, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, presentation, that's a part of what we're practicing too here. So yeah, so backgrounds, let's talk about that. What do you think, Kaylin, about the way that Michaela finished out that background? That's a new image for all of us to see.
I really like it. I think like your character, like it's really cute. I like that you kept it really simple, so there's more emphasis on your character. I think that was a really smart choice.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
It also really helps us to see the character really well. The character's totally standing out from that background. So good job on that. Let's do the test for color blindness. So we're going to go to Dirtanopia, and I'll hit play in here. Sometimes it doesn't let me, but so what do y'all think? Kelly, why don't you tell us what you think of the simulation for color blindness here?
as well. The character definitely compensates. I'm trying to think of the word. It does what it's supposed to do.
which is what?
To like it separates. There isn't like you can tell the difference between the clothes. Nothing really blurs into each other.
Yeah.
So it works well with colorblind. I still can't find the word, but
Yeah, it just really stands out. So it's got scene contrast. So the
Yes.
character to the scene is standing out so that we look more at the character than the scene. So yeah, really, really good. And this functions in that way too. So congratulations, Michaela. I'm gonna reset the color and there's the fun, beautiful green. So did you do this background in Photoshop and bring it in, or is this done in Animate?
I did it in Clip
Okay, yeah.
Studio, because that's what I usually use.
I love the leafing on the trees. You probably had like a scatter brush or something, right?
Yeah, that's a brush.
Yeah.
I enjoy that brush so much. It helps with foliage.
It's beautiful. It really turned out great. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So now we're on to Kaylee and the energy drink sewer gator. So let me hit present here. And Kaylee, did you keep with these pose sets in your final animation?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. And here's your benchmarks. What were your real main influences?
Yeah, I had a hard time finding like benchmarks and stuff to get inspiration from.
I think this is probably some of the closest, and some of like the way that this is handled, right? And the mouth.
I mean, I did more of a cell shading,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And interesting to see that set. And then your character exploration, you really explored different shapes for your gator. And what made you decide to go with your final design, which I think is this one, right?
Yeah.
After looking through these, what was the influence to make that decision?
I wanted his personality to come off like someone who would drink a sports drink.
Uh-huh.
I felt like that had that kind of energy.
He's like a energy sport drinking jock, huh?
Yeah, kind of like a jockey type.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas some of these are a little bit more humorous or goofy. Yeah, this one does look like a strong, almost somewhat of a bullying character compared to some of these other ones. That's my sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Kelly, in terms of the decision there?
I like the final that you came up with. It's very geometrical and it works well with the animation style that you went with. Because it would be a lot harder to work with one that has like a more of a belly to it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because like I know that your style is very like, or the animation that you did was very fluid, and to have like a stomach that was
You'd have to bounce it around and stuff,
Yeah.
right? So
that
it would have taken more animation. Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. All right, so here's some more explorations. Nice to see that. And then the move sets. Okay, now we're gonna see it kind of start to come to life. Here's your layer sets and the timeline and the frame picker. And this is just a still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is the animation. So what builds his desire to get this energy drink? What is the story there, Kaylee?
I imagine the story being like he was just a normal like crocodile or gator or whatever he is, living in a sewer, and then a power drink company that was deemed too toxic for human consumption decides to dump it. So they dump it down the sewer where he comes in contact with it, and that's how he gains his powers to, walk and stand upright and power up and do all of those things.
Uh-huh. And who do you think he's gonna go out and fight or protect, or what happens to him once he has this power up?
I kind of imagine him being more of an antagonist rather
Mhm.
than like the main character you'd ever play as. So it's just like an enemy.
Okay, so he's almost like one of the boss battle characters
Yeah.
that and so who are we playing as? Is it
I
kind
have
of
no
a human
idea.
kid or something?
I haven't thought that far.
So some of you, as Kaylee has worked through the animation, have thought about like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and that kind of world, because we've got a sewer gator. So it could be like other animals or creatures too. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really fun. For me, I love that gulping going down the throat. And you did a great job with your special effects.
Thank you.
Yeah. Maggie, what do you think of those flame assets?
I think they turned out really good. I saw kind of when they were just in the very early stage of being done, they were kind of just like sketched in there still. And they just look really beautiful. Like the way they move is amazing.
Mm.
Thank you.
Yeah, and what did you do to get those flames? What was your process?
I started out by looking at real videos of like fire and flames and then slowing it down in slow motion and just kind of
Mhm.
watching it. That didn't really help too much. And I think I told this story last class, but me and my boyfriend, we were rewatching Samurai Jack, the original, and in there they were sitting around a campfire. So I was like, oh, I'm struggling with animating fire. So I kind of just watched it, and it kind of helped me think of better ideas to develop it.
Right. And the extra little pieces at the end, those little tiny pieces, are really what kind of takes it above and beyond to the next kind of level. So blam, right there, those little
Yeah, like
pieces.
those
Super
little pieces
cool.
I didn't
Yeah.
originally have.
Mhm. So yeah, it's turned out to be really nice. Elliot, what do you think about the chomp scene and seeing like the actual words there?
I think it's
Snap
fun.
and
Yeah, I think it kind of complements like the flat colors everywhere. Just having that bubble pop up. It's cool.
yeah, it kind of gives a little bit more of a cartoony feel. So Kaylee, fantastic job. Love
Thank you.
seeing how it kind of all came together. Let's check it out in the color blindness.
Okay, there's one
Dersinopia.
more too. After
Okay. Yeah, we'll check this here first. I don't know if it's going to show it to us for some reason, but here we are. So yours is doing something a little bit different than some of the others. We've got the color in the background and a little bit more neutral in the foreground. Kaylee, how do you think that has turned out for you?
I think as long as it's readable,
Mhm.
I think the readability is the most important thing.
Right. So I think it's functioning. So it really is just about having the character be feeling different than what the background is doing. So this is actually one of the more ways to get a successful green character to stand out. So.
And I
Yeah.
think this is the one before I even lighten the background, I think.
Oh, really? Okay. So if I go to this one, this is a little bit more like what it is in the actual scene.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Hard to know without going back. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so here's your page layout. Nick, what do you think about the poses that Kaylee selected here?
I really like them. I think that they are all really dynamic and really show the animation in like their still version. I know you probably can't, but it'd be kind of funny to just add the smear frames you did, just because I thought those were hilarious. But for actually showing off your work, I think that this is really successful.
Mhm.
Thanks. I know I should have made a separate slide with them just for fun. But
Yeah, and if you put them on ArtStation, you can kind of go and show through those. Yeah, it's great. I wonder, Nick, what would happen if your sloth character met Electrodial? Who would win?
Ooh, I think Electrodial is a little bit more aggressive, so I feel he would win.
Uh-huh.
That'd be a fun fighting game crossover.
Right. So this guy versus this guy. See, he's got this defense mechanism, so I
That's
always end up wondering like how these all of your characters would do fighting each other or something. So yeah, that might be a good combat scene. Well, congratulations, Kaylee. It turned out fantastic. Really happy to see it. Yay. All right. So next we have Susie and Zelloth, the demonic entity. So Susie, did you end up going with these action sets?
I did.
Mm-hmm. And here's some benchmarks. Cool. A lot of influences. And your ideation. That's great. So I think it probably is quite different for you to go with something so graphic, even though you ended up doing a lot of realism within it. So what was that like as an artist to push yourself into that realm?
I don't really use Animate that often, so it was
Mhm.
a little challenge for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to think about like the joints and the rigging and all that
Mhm.
while I was drawing. So I kind of I think you mentioned at some point that he was rigged like a action figure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that probably helps to think about how the ball joints in an action figure overlap in the inside of them, huh? Is that what you were kind
Yeah.
of brainstorming through?
That was kind of the real challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you've got it right because of the overlapping. It's one of the things that when animators first start, it's hard to comprehend that you need that overlap in order for the whole image to work. So fantastic work there. His idle pose with that breathing, that is sweet. Nice
Thank
work. Yeah. So Cherith, how do you think it turned out for Susie?
I think it turned out really well.
Mm-hmm. What are some things that you like about the animation set?
I like, well, the first thing I noticed was the proportion. I think those work really well. As far as the poses and them being animated, I like how the joints move up and down kind of with the animation, because like when it's just breathing, they kind of move up and down, but they also have that up and down movement throughout the whole thing, and I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Kelly, what do you think of the way that Susie has handled all those move sets in the animation?
They're very smooth. I really like it. They definitely the plotting it out with the joints benefited you a lot and it's just not super choppy or anything. It flows really well.
Mm-hmm. And Kaylee, we've just looked at your special effects. What do you think about the way Susie's handled the special effects here?
I'm watching it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it turned out good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I'd say if,
I like how big they are.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'd say if one thing in regards to layout, I think, I don't know, maybe playing with the text or something. Or like a background, like for the layout in general though. I feel like you could have a like a demonic kind of font.
Something hellish.
Yeah. I don't know what, but.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that might be one opportunity to play with Susie, which would be a pretty quick thing to make this just level up. So yeah. Any other thoughts, Kaylin? What do you think of the whole animation sequence?
Overall, I really like it. I watched it the other night when I was uploading mine, and I really like it a lot. I don't know. I think the breathing motion, just kind of like that gradual move up and down and then of the chest, it really works like
Right.
so well.
Yeah, I'm excited for that part of it for sure, Susie. So tell us technically, how did you handle the breathing? What did you do to do the expansion of the chest and everything?
I used a lot of transform on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was mostly a lot of the transform tool.
But it's not
And
just
then
a chest, right? You took it to the other assets as it goes out, right?
Yeah, I did
Mm-hmm.
classic tweening on them also. So there was a combination of the transform tool and classic tweening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Really cool. Okay, well, congratulations, Susie. It's really nice to see that you've got an animation sequence of a character that you can put in your portfolio too. So way to go.
Thank you.
Yay. Oh, we didn't check this in terms of color blindness. So let's do that since we're kind of running through that with everybody. Through Tenopia, and we'll take it back up to here. So it is functioning coming forward off the background for sure, and he still feels like a bright character. It's always interesting to see these green or red ones function really well in the colorblind sequence because, or simulation, because you pushed it into the yellow realm, it really starts to pop out as being something colorful. So it wasn't like pure reds. So nice work there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, here's this too. We didn't look at this. Nice work. Yeah, I think font might be the only adjustment to make on your whole set. Just exploring something that one of the fonts to be like, maybe it's this one, to be a more demonic, like was mentioned. All right, so now we're on to Kelly. Oops, I don't want that. I want present over here. So Kelly, tell us about your cybernetic fighting nanny.
She is, well, you just basically took the whole thunder.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Rewind.
She's from a world where her main job is to protect the children of the world. And I feel like there'd be more of her kind, but I just wanted to draw her, obviously. I feel like there'd be more of her kind because I feel like she would come from a world that's kind of post-apocalyptic. And her main goal and main job was to help raise the kids and hopefully bring like a better world out of it.
Right. So how many kids does she take care of?
At a time, they have like a base that they try to have in certain stations. So at a time, she'll probably be traveling with like 5 to 6 kids, just so that she can make sure that they get them back to the area in which that they're safest. But sometimes she'll like travel up to like 20 children.
Oh, wow. She's powerful. So I want to go back to those benchmarks. Which ones were you really influenced by for this piece?
So I liked I really liked the Fate game, the Fate Grand Order game, and I wanted to do cell shading, but I just didn't have the time with the amount of detail that I was putting into like just the shoelaces alone. And I know somebody warned me against it. Somebody said, don't do it. And then the moment somebody tells me not to do something.
Oh, you're just such a go-getter, aren't you?
I have to do it. I get stubborn about it. So, but I really like the style and how their arm crosses, their back arm will sometimes cross over their body. And I know that there was a lot of choices I could have made where her arm stayed behind, but I really liked the poses that I drew, so it would have to change. So a lot of layering had to be involved, but I just really liked the
Yeah,
complexity.
you had a lot of assets that you built. This is your
Yeah.
own piece, right?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
just for like the art style that I used.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Works in progress. Oh, I think I went too fast. A little trigger happy there. Is this your layout page?
I can make a new one with the background. I just had this one.
No, I think if this is yours, I think just having that Anesthesia, her name on there, the cybernetic nanny, might be helpful.
Okay.
But you said you also had another one too. We'll take a look at both of them. So here's your animation sequence set. Nice, good file naming. And we'll take a look.
Yep.
How do you pronounce her first name?
Athesia.
Uh-huh.
Spelling. I fixed it. Yay.
Because that shield,
Yeah.
now it's spelled correctly here and then not there.
No,
So you
oh
fixed
my
it on one keyframe, but not on probably the later keyframe. So
Oh.
one more render out, Kelly.
I realized I must have been really tired because I was like, no, I definitely fixed the spelling on that.
You
And then I
did, you fixed the
realized
spelling.
I went back when I first thought I fixed the spelling because when somebody corrected me the other day, I was like, no, I fixed it. And then I realized I must have been so tired because I went and I fixed the spelling on the timeline where it like says the label, but I never actually touched the image itself.
Well, you fixed one of them. It's on.
Yeah, I
It's
fixed
yeah.
one.
It's just you fixed one keyframe, but the other keyframe just needs to get copied over. Not a big deal. So let's get beyond the spelling thing, which I'm sure you're going to fix.
Yes.
And what does everybody think about the action sequence? Maybe I'll call on somebody. How about Sarah? What do you think about the action sequence that Kelly has?
Yeah, I think that it works for, you said that it's like a post-apocalyptic kind of world. And I know that you said that she's also mostly robot on the inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
And her movements are kind of robotic in a way. I don't know if that was intentional or if that was just kind of how it was animated or not. But I think something that's working really well here is your special effects and how those are used. So.
Yeah, they're really quite beautiful. Tell us a little bit about the process of making those with the glow. What did you do technically to get that, Kelly?
For the glow, I had to use the glow filter that goes over top. I was trying to pick good glow colors that weren't just white. I used it for the little energy lightning rings, because I just felt like it looked good with the blue that was with them, but I kind of wanted another color, and I felt like green definitely really helped with the darker blue, darker base blue, darker than the lightning bolts, but.
Yeah, I love the way that you're using green on the inside element and then kind of a pinker color on the outside rings. I think that is really beautiful to see that combination. Yeah. All right. Hey, Cherith, what do you think about the way that everything turned out? Are you muted, Cherith? No, I don't think you are.
I shouldn't be.
Okay. What do you think about Kelly's final piece here?
I guess I was muted, but I was saying the special effects look really fluid and it works well with the pose or the poses. So turned out really well.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Kelly, you made some decisions about making the boots not have the variegated line width like you have here. which sped up the process in Animate, right?
Yep.
But kept them here, and that looks really beautiful. Very nice. Okay, let's see. How does she look in the colorblind filter? Woohoo! Yeah, she just pops right out. So good work. Very nice. It's nice to see this too. That's pretty cool. Resetting. So congratulations to you, Kali. That's fantastic work. Happy to see it. Yay. All right, Amber, we're on to you, and we're going to enter the space world. Let's launch out. We've got Fire Blast, Jellyfish Sting, Spike Attack, a hit, and a dead was the initial thoughts. Here's your benchmarks. And some really fun sketches. So initially you had a lot of different ideas of what to do with the fish. And what made you decide to move away from the person underneath the fish head thing?
It was like kind of a combination of me just not really loving the character and also like thinking about animating it.
Yeah, that would have been double the amount of animation, right? Yeah. So this was I think is a really fantastic solution. Because really we focus on this as the character mostly, right? So, and then you have all those action packs in there. So really nice. So one of these pose sets you didn't end up doing, is that right? Because you had like 4 of them. And so which one was it? This one?
Yeah, that one.
Uh-huh. So tell us about what's happening in this scene. What's the jellyfish one?
Yeah, so I was gonna have like a little jellyfish come out of the rocket ship that's in there and like sting the water, and it would like create a zap.
Sting the water. It's like water electrocution.
Yeah.
So he's combating things in the outer space world, but also in his own little domain too. Interesting. So this is great, and it would be another sequence that you know, when you're pitching the animation or something, it just shows you have more ideas for what the piece could be. So really nice. I love this sequence here, the fire attack, and screenshots of the labels. Some frame picker of the flames. Nice. All right, let's see how it turned out. Finley. Oh, it's so comical. It's just really beautiful. The visualization too of your colors are fantastic. So, I just love what's happening inside that little bowl. Yeah. Maggie, what do you think about how it turned out?
I really like the whole thing a lot. When we saw it last class, this is one of my favorites. I don't know. I love the idea of a fish in this little globe. Just his animations are so perfect for his just little puffer fish self, and it's very smooth and nice.
Right, right. Yeah, Kaylee, what do you think about the special effects animation?
Yeah, I think it works. It's got I think actually right then when it was going, I think there could have been a few more frames, but other than that, I think it looks good.
Are you talking about the big blast out where the flame is out to the side?
Yeah, I think it was like maybe
you could
the
probably
frame.
just do in and out with a classic tween right there. That one.
Yeah. It just felt like it was like still for a couple frames and then it moved again.
What do you think about that thought, Amber?
Yeah, I can definitely add more frames to it. I would.
So Amber, what were some of the things that you really learned or tried to push in this animation process?
Well, I never worked with a frame picker before, So to me, that was kind of confusing.
Mhm.
Other than that, I didn't really come across like anything that was too hard. I came across like one breaking tween, but it was really easy to fix. But yeah.
It's really, really funny. Let's check it out with the color sequence here. Here's your layout sheet too, which looks great. We'll look at it plain too without this pretty soon. So Dirtanopia, popping out, nice. Boy, it's incredibly bright. It's one of the brighter pieces that that we have in the class. So that's fun to see for kids to have a really bright character. Because I think that your age range is probably younger kids. Is that right,
Yeah.
Amber?
Mhm.
Yeah. So nice work there. Let's reset that and take a look at Finley's character sheet and the graphic design layout. What does everybody think of the way that that turned out? I'll ask Nick that question. How's the graphic design on that, Nick?
I really like it. I really like the text that you picked for the name. I think that it fits really well with the aesthetic for the character.
Thank you.
And I like that you kept the background from the animation, but made it a bit more subtle so that we can focus on your frames there. I think
Yeah,
it'll-
having those boxes are really nice. That's a really cool subtle trick, isn't it?
Mhm.
This is a little bit tight up here. Give yourself a little bit more margin by just bringing some of this purpley stuff up a little bit.
Okay.
I would say, yeah, but that's the only super nitpicky thing. I love this color combination. Super fun. It's in the realm of the kids stuff that I do, so I'm liking the feel of it. I think it matches what the kids would like. So cool, nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah. Is that the last page for us to look at, Amber?
Yeah.
So congratulations to you, Amber. All right. We have, I just want to check, we have a couple more to go, but I want to just take a quick break. All right, back from our break, and we're going to start to review Elliot's piece. Elliot, are you with us?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, cool. So you did a Tiki Mask Warrior. Did you end up using these pose sets?
I did, let's see, I did a spear. I didn't do the dash. I did a spear block and a hit, like he gets damaged.
Yeah, yeah.
So some changing went in. So these are my benchmarks. Patapon was a game from years ago that I had played a long time ago. And I always admired how that looked.
It's great because it's so simple and looks really fun.
And just visual references, and then yeah. So I think this is more fleshed out. I had found my 3 poses that I wanted, at least written out, and then I had my character sketched up there. And then here's well, they're all played out too.
He's got a great expression set on his mask as he takes damage and stuff. These are awesome.
Yeah,
so this is the simplification of the build.
Yeah.
This is where you started.
Yeah.
It's really nice to see
I-
that part of the
yeah.
process. Yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't like it. I knew something had to be. This just didn't have the, tiki like tribal feel. It's just too. Needed to be more textures in there and more rigid. So I wanted to play with that. And
So then you added these textures, and these are like bitmap fills, right?
yeah, they're,
You tried this color set, but decided to
yeah, I
go
tried
with.
that. Yeah, I kind of stuck with blue and lime green and all these type of colors, like as if you belong to a tribe, or maybe that's just kind of.
Yeah, it's helpful for these simplified characters to have like one color set. Like you see Max here, he's all yellow. Biff is all orange, right? So
Yeah.
they have that feel of being one thing,
Right.
because you make them small on the screen. So I think that functions well. So here's your.
This is more. I had just thrown this in this morning. It's just kind of layer naming and
Mhm.
my file in general.
Mhm.
But this is kind of basically how I have it now. It's just
Mhm.
kind of like a look at my file, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Wow, this is new to see. That's great. These are some new assets, aren't they? From what we saw the other day.
No, I have those in, so you'll be able to see
Oh, they're
them.
just gonna go like really fast or something.
Yeah, they go
huh?
pretty fast. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to see when you all do these animations. There's some things that are really special that happen really fast. So it's nice to break it down and show people. So that's fantastic.
you.
I like how the background is very gray compared to the character. I think that'll come across really nice in the colorblind test. Yeah. All right. Let's see how the animation turned out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the fireball that gets thrown at him
Yeah.
from his enemy, huh?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
There's like the text maybe that we wanted changed, and also with the shield being attached to his arm. But those are like the two main things that maybe I would fix with it.
Mhm.
But otherwise, I think I got the moves across generally.
Mm-hmm. Kaylee, what do you think about, like, how would you see this character in some sort of game? Do you think it would function well, and what kind of game would it be in?
I don't know. I don't play a lot of 2D games. It's like hard for me to. That's why it was so hard for me to find references.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would work.
Mm-hmm. He is a fun little character, and I think the expressions on his face make the audience love him and want to play with him. So, Amber, what do you think about the way that Elliot has handled the background design and working with character and scene contrast?
I said this last time, but I absolutely love the background. I love the textures. I like that you added like an element up front, which is like close to us because it makes it seem like we're like viewing him from a bush or something.
Right, like we're sneaking on, we're being voyeurs, so yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really well done and I like it a lot.
Yeah. Well, Elliot, tell us a story about something that you learned in the technical process of taking character through understanding it for animation.
Yeah, I was one of those who just doesn't. I don't normally work in Animate so much, so I think maybe things like the frame picker, I also was something that playing with that and knowing what other assets to bring into my character and what was needed for him was something I had to try to nail into my head. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got it. You got it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Sheriff, what do you think of the timing of the animation?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Lovely. Finally worked this time. I think it works really well. And for a 2D game, I think that it would be timed really well for like what would happen.
I think that that fireball could go a little bit faster at him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And does anybody think so too? Or am I all wrong on that?
It could go a little faster.
It might need an ease on it. Do you is it just going across?
It's just a tween going across, yeah.
Uh-huh. So if you do you all think that it should be faster at the end or towards the beginning of the throw?
I think probably near the end.
Mm-hmm. And what would that do, Kelly, by making it faster towards the end? You're muted it still.
Smack the button 3 times. Okay. It would definitely like increase like the impact. It would definitely make it seem like a little bit more of like a really big hit. And then also just like the increase in momentum, which is it would work well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that would be my only suggestion on that. And then we did talk about changing the fonts.
Yeah.
And then in your other pose set, let's see, the background I think is functioning much better, where the character really stands out.
Okay.
You wouldn't have to make it that dull necessarily, but
Maybe a middle in between that and this.
yeah,
Okay.
would be a recommendation. So Elliot, I'm really glad to see you build those skill sets, and the technical skills that you learned in character design are great, because
Yeah.
you've got the painting skills, but now you have this other skill set. So look at how
Right.
that functions really nicely. That blue is
That
really
almost,
popping
yeah.
out.
It kind of looks like cool, the alternate version.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, that's how some people see it. So it functions. So
Cool.
really nice work. All right. And I think that's probably the last page for you. So congratulations, Elliot.
Yeah, thanks.
Nice work. Okay. All right. And then we have Maggie is up next. Maggie and Nen, the water god. Let's see. Tell us the story of Nen and who worships this water god, Maggie.
So my idea was that basically I'd make a little game about forest spirits, kind of saving the forest. So I made Ben as the kind of water god, water spirit of the forest. So that's my main character, but in theory there'd be other elements as well. And then his actions, I picked basically that his cape would be kind of the mass majority of his powers and what they would do. So I did Floodwaters, which is like a big wave, and then I did Rejuvenate, which is like a healing skill. And then I did Downpour, where he floats up and rain comes down.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And there's your rig. And the frame picker, yeah. Benchmarks from Spiritfarer. Cool, okay, well, let's see how this turned out. So Maggie, do you think that you were able to capture the story of what you developed initially?
Yeah, I mean, I know Elliot mentioned it too. Like, I'm mainly a painter, so animating is very, very different for me. So I'm happy with how it turned out for somebody who doesn't animate almost ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like I mentioned, it's just really good for you all to expand your skill sets. Now you can say, yes, I can do that. You can hire yourself out to be the character designer in addition to working into animation. And I think one of the biggest things is you can all understand now how animation characters have to be quite a bit more simple than characters that are like for card art, for example, or for print. Where you can really paint them up and you can have a lot of extra details. These require a real understanding of the mechanics of it. And then if you're gonna animate it, you have to be able to redraw them multiple times, right? So it simplifies it. So I think for you, Maggie, you really understood that concept and pushed that idea in this piece. So that's great. So, Sarah, what do you think of the way that the character stands out from the background?
I think that, well, the background colors and the character colors are very, very similar, but which I think it works here because the figure itself, like the color of like the face, the legs, and the arm is dark, but she put the white outline on the cape, and that really helps separate it from the rest of the background. She had put that gradient on there, and that blue is almost the same blue as the background. So without that line there, I think that he would blend more into the background.
Yeah, that line is really essential for making it function, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like that because at first, to me, this design looks a little more feminine. So I thought that maybe this character was female or something like that. But I like that you said that it's a he, kind of pushing those like norms, I guess, for
Mhm.
male or female characters.
Right. Yeah, it's nice to see that diversity within the work. Kaylin, how do you think the whole thing turned out? And I'm curious what you think about the symbol on the top of his head and what you think it might mean.
I think it turned out really well. I like the little floaty symbol. Maybe I would add a glow to it overall, like all the time, but like just the crown, not the whole character. Oh my god. But yeah, I really love the little addition of that tiny floating crown, and I think it turned out really well overall.
It does glow at certain times, doesn't it,
Yeah.
Maggie? So what is the purpose of making it glow?
It just glows during the last, during rejuvenation.
Like a power up right there, right? So it's nice. Yeah, really cool. There's a game by the Us2 company called, oh, I'm gonna forget it. This is reminding me of a very simple, Monument Valley. Have you seen that, Maggie? They use very simple characters and it's kind of all an isometric perspective and it's kind of a puzzle game where you have to turn assets around. It's a beautiful kind of story game that you can get on the app stores. I think it's actually just Apple, but you might check it out as a fun influencer. What do we think about the way that the rain and the floodgate ended up in terms of its animation? And hey, Susie, what do you think of that? The special effects.
I really like it. I like the rejuvenation circle. I like the glow effect around that. It reminds me of the circular lights that YouTubers use. That's what it reminded me of.
Mm-hmm. I love that when he does his rain, the downpour, he's going to do like this little shake. It's almost like someone is shaking him from up above, and that's how he's like sprinkling rain. I think it's really a beautiful way to show that. So that's cool. I don't remember seeing that before, Maggie. Is that new or a revision?
The rain?
Yeah, the little shake that happens on the character.
Oh, yeah, it was very minimal before, so it's a little bit more
yeah,
noticeable.
You pushed it. Yeah, cool. Well, really nice job. It turned out to be quite beautiful. Let's take a look at this page. Ooh, it's a really nice like graphic design on it. So love the way that turned out. Let's check out the work in Dirtanopia. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just monochromatic. It's working and functioning well. I think the color on this is maybe a little bit different than this one. So let's just check this out and see if I can play this here.
I tried to drag and drop the colors, so I'm not sure.
Well, I think it's working. I mean, right now we're just looking at it in the Dirtanopia, but yeah. So this is, you've got scene and character contrast, so it's functioning. Maybe choose one of these words, like probably your Maggie, to be a little bit darker, so that it, and maybe that again here, so that you really bring attention to the water spirit stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I like the lines on this. I think that's really working nicely.
Thanks. I was trying to figure out the best way to show that the like height difference and where he was.
Right. No, it's really doing that. That's cool. Nice work. Okay, congrats, Maggie. All right, there's your font, cool. And well, that's an empty spot. Cherith, here we go. Ready to talk about yours? So the robotic assassin. Let me show it full screen and tell us about who your character is.
All right, so I had the idea that I wanted to do an assassin-like character because I started playing Ghost of Tsushima Legends, and instead of going with like the Japanese theme, I went with like a frog theme, but still like a robot. I had the idea that he was kind of made by a corporation to take out their competitors, and that he would collect their heads as trophies in a jar and take them back. So he's leggy and
Nice work there. All right, let's check out the video. Tell us his name again.
Batraki.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure it's just Latin for frog.
Oh, is it? Okay. I need to relearn all my Latin here. All right, so let's see. Hey, Michaela, what do you think about the way that Cherith handled the crouch, the slash, what's the rooftop jump?
I think it was handled really well. All of the frames I think are relatively fluid and fit together really well, and it's readable. Like you know exactly what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Nick, what do you think about the way that Cherith handled the rendering of the character?
I think it's good. It stands out well against the background. The only thing that maybe I would have changed is maybe the arm and leg in the back of the character, maybe adding some more shadow or darkness. I think one frame has like the gray on the leg become more black.
Right there. Yeah, I was noticing that too.
I would just continue with that throughout the entire animation.
Because that is helping it to have more depth.
Yeah.
What happened there, Cherith? Is it were you intending to actually have it like this more actually throughout?
Yeah, so I would do the fill and the color picker. I think I just clicked a line, but I can carry that through.
This is actually functioning really nicely. So that's a happy accident if that's what happened. And it would be a pretty quick fix to get a little bit more depth in the character. So yeah. Sun loop. What were some of the things that you learned as you worked through character design for game and animation?
For the most part, just that it's really difficult animating jointed limbs, especially if you're going to have them like slide and bend at the same time.
Right.
Lots of different pieces that I had to disassemble and reassemble.
Right. You know, the more non-human like characters are, the easier it is to kind of fool things. So this is a pretty complicated character to animate because it is more human formed. So I think you did a great job with it.
Thank you.
And I think all of us love the head. We've talked about that before, that the head is really fun. So I think I missed one. Or is this the next one?
That's the next one. That's the layout.
Yeah, really nice. Let me just delete this thing. I like the composition of your graphic design is really nice on this one. Good work.
Thank you.
This pose is fun. He's like, ah. Nice. Well, congratulations. Let's check it out in Dirtanopia. experience it with empathy for someone that is colorblind. So here you have a green character, which means that it gets pretty neutral, but because your background is colored, he still has that scene contrast. So functions. It's fun. Does the color blindness element, does that surprise you all? Like, this is something that we're really trying to do now in terms of working with universal design. How do you feel about trying to make things function for universal design?
I think it's really important to think about, to be aware of. I have a couple of friends who are colorblind, and one of them actually used to go to KCAD. And I remember he was just always like, I can't believe I have to take the color class because they all look the same to me.
Yeah, and they weren't talking about how to make it universal. There are ways, I mean, we have just shown in this class right now how to make it function for everybody.
Yeah.
So if you start to really work in that process, then we can have universal design for everybody. Everybody can enjoy the work, and that's incredibly important. And what I think that we are noticing as we look through all of these is in this experience, they can fully function and be more pleasing to the eye from someone's perspective that is colorblind. Just going to go through and try to find the pieces here. So it's just an important piece to think through. And I really hope that you all will continue to work with that in mind. Let's go forward to True Strands and to Kaylin's. Wow, Kaylin, that's cool. So I know that it's kind of a new thing to work through, and I just want to congratulate all of you for pushing that idea and for thinking through the eyes of someone that is colorblind. And I think that it's all functioning really well. So Cherith, yours works well. Congrats to you on that. Let's take it back to full common color vision is what we would call it. So I like Batraki, good job. Now I learned a little Latin too. So very nice, congratulations. All right, Kaylin, let's check out Esmeralda the Younger. It looks like these are ones that you went through, is that right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, except for death. I modified death a little bit, but everything else is interesting.
So your character didn't die, just eternal.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
immortality, it's fine.
So Hollow Knight, what a very popular game, so as well as Journey. So some good benchmarks here. Esmeralda the Younger. So as you did your concepts, what were some of the things that you were thinking about when you were thinking about, okay, I've got to animate it. So what did you do in terms of designing that was different than if you were just to do a flat piece?
Well, I think it was especially difficult with Perry, just because the idea of it, it's like, oh my gosh, I've almost committed myself to having to do a 360 animation of a character.
Yeah, without having a 3D piece. So
yeah, I was like, oh no, that's not a good idea. So I instead changed it to like the little tornado spin.
Oh, this becomes the tornado spin?
Yeah, the middle.
Very smart, Kaylin. I don't remember hearing that through the process, or maybe you did, but that's a really good point. So for future students coming through this class, the 360s are hard, right? There's much more drawings that you would have to do. So
I was like, I don't think I have enough time for that. So simplified it down to the little tornado.
Yeah.
And then for the death scene, I had gotten rid of like the little like collapse of her clothes, because I was like, well, I think it would just be more interesting and a little bit more easier for me to just have her like kind of like fade in and out, like she's like gotten hit and now she's kind of like her death, quote unquote, is just her disappearing.
Yeah, okay. So this is getting into the process, and we can see here the tail as one line, which will get a lot fancier in a little bit, right? So,
yep.
Wow. Cool. Lots of layers, everybody, right?
So
but the folders are helpful, aren't they?
yeah.
As all of you keep to organizing. In addition to, let me go back, Kaylin's got a good example of this. Good naming conventions are really important, because if you have them just be called layer 2, layer 49, who the heck knows what anything is. So nice work there.
Thank you.
Ooh. Oh, so here's your fade, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So ghostly. I love the moons on the outside of these. Are they actually just parentheses backwards, or?
No, I actually have like a little like a font type that's called moon phases, because I've been really into like,
yeah,
I guess the graphic design layout lately. So I have a bunch of like ornaments.
It's quite nice, really, really good. Okay, let's see how the animation test turned out. So what is the tornado then? Initially you had that be the flipping thing, is that right?
Yeah, it would be like her spinning around, yeah.
Yeah, and so now it's even more emotional, I think, because it's like this character becomes the weather, becomes so disastrous, so wind-filled that it could tornado you. It would be like an attack, huh? So, Kaylee, what do you think about the animation sequencing, the timing, and the speed of the animation? Yeah. Okay.
Nope, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the timing is really good. I don't see any issues personally.
Good, good. And Amber, what do you think about the way that Kaylin has rendered the piece out, the visual of that?
I think that it looks great. I just love this character so much. I like that it's like, it kind of looks like it's glowing.
Mm-hmm. I'm watching these up here. It says parry when the tornado is there. Is that the parry pose?
Yeah.
I wonder if it should say tornado or something. Do you all feel like it's still a parry? Is it, Kaylin?
Maybe a whirl.
Well, yeah, it's the parry. The tornado, I guess that's just like her spinning really fast to get her tail around her to parry it, essentially. Parry the blow.
Okay. Kelly, were you saying something?
I said maybe like another name would be like a whirl instead of a tornado.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's fine the way it is. I was just curious. I think this layout is nice. I do like the layout that you have in the previous one where you glow things. Like this is glowing. That would be really nice to just bring into the other thing. Just a total little tweak, not necessary, but it's really beautiful in here. Let's check the color blindness. Let's see, I have to escape. And go back to this. And here to the No Coffee Color Vision Simulator. And I think we saw it previously. There's not actually much change, right? Because it is a monochromatic piece. So really nice.
Thank you.
Totally functions.
Yeah, I designed it hoping that it wouldn't change too much. So
Right. Yeah, so essentially you've given the same experience to everybody, which is universal design. Really nice job, Kaylin.
Thank you.
Fun work. Okay, is Drew here today? Looks like Drew's not here. So we'll just skip over Drew, and then Green. Is that Elliot on Green's? Green is not here, but Green will review the work with me later, as well as Matthew. So I think that that is our last, Kaylin's our last person that's here in this room. Is that right?
I think so.
Okay, we didn't miss anybody? Well, I just want to, again, congratulate all of you on all of the hard work this semester. I'm really impressed with what you've been able to learn and bring into your toolbox. You now can do some digital painting for a character for 3D game. You can create motion design characters and really work through the simplification of those. And you can also do these animation tests. So super excited for the possibilities of those in your portfolios. And just a reminder to make sure that you hand in all of your final files into Google Drive, and send me any emails that you have about anything in regard to your grade. But it's been a real honor working with all of you, and thank you for being my student and learning with me, and I'm excited about what will happen for you in the future. So yay to everybody.